My name's Rachael Ridley. I'm a professional dancer. I primarily trained in classical ballet and contemporary. I also choreograph and teach, and I would definitely say I'm an advocate for better representation within the arts for black dancers, better accessibility and equal opportunities. I think it's really important to start opening up the narrative about race within the industry, because countless people have come before me and had these same conversations, fighting for the same change, and I feel that it's my duty, I sort of owe it to them to push through and see the positive results of what they were fighting for. Also, the children that are coming up after me, I don't want them to be having the same conversations that we're having now. It's ridiculous now to have to keep going over the same issues. It should simply be about the dancing, about expressing yourself, being creative and letting loose from life's stresses and worries and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's very important to keep talking about race within the industry. I started training when I was 4 and I didn't see my first black ballet teacher until I was 19. I think it's very important for children to look up and see people that look like them. You know, when you look at a screen, you look at a ballerina or you look at a dancer and they look nothing like you, you sort of think, well, this industry won't be very welcoming for me, no one even looks like me, can I do it? It seems too far-fetched, my vision's too big, it's no longer tangible, and I think we don't seem to appreciate representation until it's actually there. Within the classical arts, specifically classical ballet, I'd say that it is quite a critical field to go into, specifically regarding body shape and body type, etc. And I think when it comes to, you know, tie up your hair, make sure your hair's neat and point your toes and stretch the back of your legs, all that sort of thing, we can change those, we can apply those corrections easily because that is the basis of technique. But when it comes to sort of your hips are too wide or your legs won't turn out this way because, again, hips or, you know, any issues like that within black anatomy, that things that can't be changed, I think that's when it gets a bit sort of dangerous, because we can't change that. We can't change the anatomy of, I can't change how I was born. So when I was growing up, I always knew that I wanted to do ballet. I knew that that was what I wanted to do. I remember watching Angelina Ballerina and seeing the tutu and the dancing, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely a bit of me, I want to do that. And then growing up throughout the industry and training and stuff like that, I was always told, not always, but I was told by people and teachers, which was definitely quite detrimental to me, because I'm thinking, you're the person that I look up to, I want you to train me and be the best ballerina that I can be, and you're telling me let's look into something a bit more urban, a bit more hip hop, a bit more street, a bit more commercial. And it is painful to be told that, especially when you've had your sights set on a vision since, you know, when you were young, to then be told, oh well, you know, this isn't really for you. And it's very unwelcoming and makes you feel like, why would I bother? But the main point is that you saw what you wanted to do from when you were young, and that is the main reason why, that's the main reason why I do what I do, because I've known from the start that this is what I wanted to do and I wasn't going to stop until I made it. So my family were definitely a very supportive network. Anytime I had any problems or issues, I knew I could always turn to my mum and speak to her about things that happened in the classroom that weren't right. But there were a few family members that were, I'd say, probably apprehensive about me going into this industry because of things that they'd experienced. You know, I did ballet when I was 5 and, you know, I wasn't accepted. They told me my feet were too flat and my hips were too wide, and I think they were coming from a place of protection because they didn't want me to experience those things. But I just thankfully had other members of my family that were just fearless, completely instilled that trait of fearlessness in me and just told me, just go for it. If this is what you want to do, go for it, but never ever give less than 100%, because just by being in a ballet class, just by attending, just by showing up, you're making a statement. I may be the only black one there, but that in itself, I'm making a statement. So I've got to show up on time, have my hair ready to go and be completely professional at all times. When I was younger and I took my first ballet lesson, I was really excited to sort of get the uniform and start doing shows and getting the costumes and things like that. And I'm seeing they're all pink, and, you know, you associate ballet with pink and it's all girly, etc. But growing up, you know, through training and stuff like that, my teachers used to tell me, We wear the pink tights to elongate the line of the leg, to make everything run flush, make you look as long and ethereal as possible. And then I started to think, well, if the top half of me is brown and the bottom half is white, then I can't be elongated. That doesn't make sense because my line isn't running flush because there's two different colours. And that's when I sort of had to realise, okay, they're not catering for me, they're not doing things that I need. So I need to now dye my stage underwear in coffee, soak it in coffee and tea to get the brown that I need, paint my shoes with foundation, and these things get expensive. Whilst on a positive side of things, some companies are creating ranges for darker skin tones within ballet and different colour point shoes and things like that, they're still quite expensive. When I started in the industry, I could see that there weren't many black people around in companies, specifically in classical ballet companies. And whilst there are companies out there that are making sure that black dancers are seen and are able to create and be in a space where they can express themselves, there aren't that many, and even when there are, the black dancers that are there aren't necessarily from here. So that's one thing that I found when I go to take classes and stuff like that. Even though I may not be the only black person in the studio, I'm the only black British person in the studio, because here we're just still, I think we're a bit behind and we haven't really caught up with some of the issues and injustices that need to be seen to. In an ideal world, all these companies would be completely diverse. We wouldn't have a need for companies targeting specifically black and Asian dancers. Everyone would just be creating, expressing, and new ideas, new creativity will be coming out. And I think that's what's really important, is when we make it specifically about the dancing and specifically about the art and the technique and the fundamentals of being a good, strong ballet dancer or contemporary dancer, it's completely irrelevant, all the other things that come into it. You know, what colour are you, what do you look like, how are your hips set, what are your feet like. You know, as long as you use what you've been given and use it to the best of your ability, I think you can't go wrong. My main message to the younger generation of black boys and girls coming up behind me is that it won't be easy. Things will get difficult. You'll be judged based on what you look like rather than your technique and things that you bring to the table, what you have to offer. But the main point is that you were placed here on this earth for a reason. You have a vision placed on your heart that you set out to go and do ballet. I want to go and do ballet. I want to express myself. I want to make people feel something when I dance. I want to train. I want to be disciplined. I want to be strong. And yeah, just keep that in the back of your mind and always push forwards to be the best that you can be. There will be times when you don't want to do it. There will be times when you think, well, why should I have to do it? Because I'm black and I want to do ballet. Why should I have to explain myself? But you just have to be patient and remember that what you do and the impact that you have on the people around you is so, so important.